to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, so let us start with our regular class. So we have been discussing about the full wave rectifier, okay, in the last lecture, and we have seen that there are two types of full wave rectifiers. Okay, one was center tap based full wave rectifier, and other was full wave rectifier. Okay, so far we have looked at this center tap full wave rectifier. In the center tap full wave rectifier, we have seen that there is a main part of this full wave rectifier was a center tap transformer. Okay, so we have here a primary of this transformer, which gives actually a second, okay, uh, which has a secondary of transformer such that in the middle of the secondary of the transformer, we are tapping just in the middle, okay, so that the output of this secondary is divided into two equal parts, right? So that we have seen. In this, we can see that only two diodes have been used, and these diodes seems to work independently for two half of the input waves. One is positive half and another is negative half. Okay, so one diode D1 is on for the positive half cycle and D2 is on for the negative half cycle, and we get the full output. So already we have seen how this particular center tap transformer based full rectifier was working. Okay, so these are just enumerations on the same thing, that in the positive half what is happening, that D1 is on, it acts like a short circuit, and the D2 is off, it is like open circuit, and we have the output in the positive half cycle, and then we have the negative half cycle here. In this negative half cycle, D2 is on and D1 is off, and we get the output in the negative half cycle. Okay, so in this way, for the full wave cycle of the input, which keeps on repeating, we get the output for the full cycle. Okay, so this is just animation what is happening in the positive half cycle and negative half cycle. Earlier we were having another uh, animation. Okay, just I have replaced because that was making a confusion. Actually, in that animation, it was shown the direction of the electron flow. Okay, because the current is carried by the electrons. So direction of the electron flow was there shown, and the current flow direction is just opposite to that flow of the electrons. Okay, so in that way we could have related that. Anyway, other quantities we have also tried to compute similar to the half wave rectifier. So we have seen maximum load current. Okay, all these we have done. Okay, so just quickly going through these, we have also found the average DC load current. It comes out to be just twice of that of the half wave rectifier. In the half wave rectifier, we were having Im upon pi, that average value of the current to the load, whereas for the full wave rectifier, we are getting just double of that. Similarly, the DC load voltage also we can calculate just multiplying the DC current with the load resistance. We can find out this value, and other terms just we can just see that they are substitutions of the values of Im and other things. Okay, so just one can manipulate these equations accordingly. Many times we have seen this condition, okay, that RF plus RS is less than RL, okay. So RF is what? Forward resistance of the diode. Okay, so when diode is on, it gives a kind of resistance also, but that is very small, of the order of few ohms maybe, say 5 ohms, 10 ohms like that, okay. It is not very much. Similarly, RS is the resistance of the secondary of the transformer, that is also very less. So we can actually neglect these resistances which are of the order of few ohms as compared to the load resistance RL. Okay, so RL is say of the order of kilo ohms. So that can be simplified. Okay, that simplifies the other equations. The root mean squares. Okay, the AC values, okay, can be computed by using the traditional equations, and it happens that IRMS value of this current, load current, is Im upon square root 2. The voltage can also be computed just multiplying by this RMS value to this load resistance RL. The different powers, okay, like DC power output and AC power input, these can also be calculated. DC power output can be calculated by just multiplying the DC voltage with the DC current, and if we substitute the previous values which we have calculated, we can find out this value of the DC power output. Okay. Similarly, AC power input we can find out just multiplying the by the IRMS, okay, by the resistance, total resistance of the circuit, which includes RF, RS, and RL. So we can get this AC power input this much. Okay, so these DC power output and AC power input, these are going to be used to compute the efficiency of this full wave rectifier. Similar steps we have already followed for the half rectifier. So similar thing we are using also here. So only in this equation we need to substitute for Im, and we get this equation. This equation further can be simplified by assuming that RF plus RF is very, very less than RL. So this can also be done here. Using these two values, we can find out the rectifier efficiency, that is DC power output divided by AC power input. We define this as rectifier efficiency. Okay. So already we all values we have found. Okay, DC output, AC input. We need to substitute these values, and again in this equation we can divide by RL in the numerator and denominator here, and use the criteria that RF plus RS is less than RL. We can simplify this expression. So this expression we can see that is now free from any other quantity. Okay? In the simplified form, the efficiency is seems to be independent of the resistance values in the circuit. Okay, but it is not so. The exact values do depend, but after simplification, it seems that it is independent. Okay, so around at this is the maximum. Okay, if we get neglect the effect of the circuit resistance, okay, that RS, RL and RF, then at most we can get the efficiency which is equal to 81.2%. No more efficiency greater than this we can obtain in any case. Okay, so that's what this is saying. The ripple factor also we can compute using the equation we have found for the half rectifier. Only we need to substitute IRMS and IDC corresponding to the full wave rectifier. So for full wave rectifier, IRMS and IDC we have found, and just substituting these values, we get this ripple factor 0.48, which is quite low. For the half wave rectifier, we have obtained approximately 1.21 ripple factor for half wave rectifier. Whereas for the full wave rectifier, we get this. Okay, in short form, we mostly write half wave rectifier as HWR and full wave rectifier as FWR. About load current also we have discussed a little bit in the last lecture. So the load current seems to flow separately through the diode 1 and diode 2, and the sum of these two currents are going to flow through the load. Okay, so ID1 is the current diode 1 through diode 1, and ID2 is the current through the diode 2, and IL is the current through the load, which is sum of ID1 and ID2. These expressions seems to be different here because of the fact that diode is not a linear element, but it is non-linear element, which adds non-linearity in the output. Okay, so because of that, we have harmonics here. Okay, we can see some harmonics are found here. We are not getting indulged into this from how these particular harmonics are coming, but harmonics may be present, but mostly we see that the first the fundamental frequency that is dominant, okay, and that we only take mostly into account, and higher order harmonics we discard. Okay, so only the thing which we should note here that the current through the load resistance RL is the sum of the diode currents ID1 and ID2, whereas because in the if we see here, hello, हेलो, अरे काम हो गया है. Okay, so we are just discussing about the center tap full wave rectifier. So we have this diode D1 and diode D2 here. Load resistance RL is there. Okay, so in the first cycle, it seems that the current is flowing in this direction. Okay. And the second half cycle, the current seems to flow in this direction. So if we look at the direction of the current flowing in the secondary of the transformer, then we can see that ID1 is going on the upside here. ID2, if we look at this, then this seems to go downside. Okay. So these currents ID1 and ID2 are flowing in the opposite directions. So if we look at the current flowing in the secondary of the transformer, then it seems that they are flowing in the opposite direction, and hence the difference of this current seems to flow through the secondary transformer. Okay, so only these things we need to look at this. Okay, so what kind of current may flowing in the load through the load? So through the load, it is the sum of the currents ID1 and ID2 which is flowing, whereas through the secondary transformer, it is the difference of the currents ID1 and ID2 which is flowing. Okay. So the resultant value may depend on the values, real values of the ID1 and ID2. Okay, and that will also decide the direction of the current flow in the secondary transformer. Okay. If we assume that D1 and D2 are identical, okay, and the currents are identical, then there will be no current in the secondary transformer because the difference will become zero. Another thing which we can see is the peak inverse voltage. Okay, peak inverse voltage was the maximum voltage which appears across the reverse bias diode. So in any circuit, okay, in the half wave rectifier, of course, this full wave rectifier is assumed to be composed of two half wave rectifiers. Okay, so it is better to look at this. In the half wave rectifier, we have seen this kind of arrangement here. Okay, load resistance is there, diode was there. So when this diode was off, okay, so diode will be off when we apply a negative voltage on the P side and positive voltage on the N side. Okay, like this. So this diode will look like as off, and there is no current flowing. So current is zero. So in this condition, let us assume that still okay, this is acting as open circuit, but the diode is present. Okay, so there will be some voltage seen across this diode. So let us say that there is some voltage V across this diode. Now we can apply the KVL into this. This voltage is still present across the secondary of the transformer. Okay, the peak value, we actually look at the peak values because this is here peak. Okay, so peak reverse bias voltage appearing across the diode is nothing but this Vm with the given polarity. Okay, and the current is zero through this. So now how to apply this KVL? The voltage drop across this RL may be, if the current I were there, should have been with this polarity. Okay, let us call this as V naught. But here V naught is going to be zero because the current is zero. Okay, now we can write the KVL here. So going say from one end to another end here, minus Vm plus V naught plus V is equal to say 0. B we have assumed the voltage across this diode. So V will be equal to Vm minus V naught, but V naught is 0. So it is Vm. So it was the for the half wave rectifier. Okay, this was for the half wave rectifier. Now we have the full wave rectifier here. So diode D2 is here shown to be reverse biased, and D1 is on here. So in this loop here, if we look at this, actually we have to take the loop in which the reverse bias diode is present. Okay, because we need to calculate the voltage across the reverse bias diode. Okay, so the current, okay, So D1 is forward bias, current is flowing in this direction, current I is some value of current is there. Of course, this value of the current is going through this load resistance actually, and no value of the current is coming here. So current through this reverse bias diode is 0, but current through this diode D1, which is forward bias, is current I, okay, which we can compute. So now applying the KVL into this loop, we can write here, we are going to write these values here, okay. So starting from this, if we encounter first negative here, we are going to take it minus ESM, then again here minus ESM. Actually we don't need to write twice here, because there is some voltage which is appearing across the secondary transformer, that is twice, okay, here twice of ESM, which was getting divided into two equal parts due to the center tapping. But here in this diagram, it is visible to separate values of ESM, so we are writing here. But ultimately, that becomes 2 ESM. Okay. The resistance say across the diode D1 is 0. We can also take into account that RF value. Okay, but let's for simplicity assume that it is 0. Then we come here to this, in this loop RL is not coming, okay. In the shown loop here, including the reverse bias diode D2, RL is not coming, okay. So we are not going to write that. So plus V is equal to 0, and V will become 2 ESM. So that's how we can compute the voltage appearing across the reverse bias diode. So what it means here actually, this is the maximum value of the reverse bias voltage appearing across this diode. We have not in detail so far studied the fact that if in a diode, in the reverse bias diode, we keep on increasing the reverse bias voltage, then there happens a breakdown. Okay. So this particular breakdown voltage, okay, let us for the time being represent VB here. This peak value appearing across the diodes should not exceed this breakdown value voltage. Okay. That gives a kind of limit on the maximum applicable voltage across the reverse bias diode. Okay. So this is also actually important in that sense to compute these values. Else, in the most of the cases, the breakdown voltage of the diodes are quite high, in the range of few hundreds of voltages. Okay, 100, 200 voltages. So that's how these don't get into the breakdown region. Another thing which is of importance is transformer utilization factor. Okay, we need to look into this in detail because we have not seen so far this computation here. So in for the half rectifier we have seen, okay, so this thing, but the case there was simple in the sense that we were having simple secondary of the transformer which was getting utilized for half the time period, and for the half time period it was not utilized because there was no current flowing through the secondary of the transformer. But here in this full wave rectifier, center tap transformer based full wave rectifier, we have a different utilization of the secondary transformer, because for the first half, one half of that secondary transformer is getting utilized. For the second half, again the second half of the secondary transformer is being utilized. It is not ideal. Okay, half of the part is getting utilized. So in that way, it is having a different way of computation here. So the facts, these are written over here, that just be narrated here. So we compute the utilization factor by computing the secondary TUF first, and there is something called as primary of the this center tap transformer is also getting utilized throughout the two halves of the input cycle. So this have seems to work independently, and so we need to compute two TUFs, okay, for the secondary separately, because the utilization is different here of that of the secondary of the transformer, and also the primary of the transformer is also utilized, okay, differently. So we need to compute secondary TUF and primary TUF separately, and we need to take average of these two to find out average TUF. We cannot have a single value of the TUF for this case here. We have different values for the secondary of the transformer and primary of the transformer. So here first one is computing the secondary TUF. So DC power to the load divided by AC power rating of the secondary. So DC power to the load is the DC current multiplied by the load, IDC square RL. That is the power, I square R, divided by the RMS values of the voltage and currents. So the voltage and current is present for the full cycle, okay. That's why the RMS values are simple to that of the sinusoidal waves, okay. The value, peak value divided by square root 2. ESM square root divided by square root 2, and all these values comes here. So we can get the TUF of the secondary just by substituting these values into this, which is 0.812. Okay, so in the computation again, RF and all those values have been neglected, RF and RS. Similarly, if we look at from the working point of view, then the full wave rectifier is working like as if there are two half rectifiers, and for one half rectifier we have already computed the TUF. So TUF of this primary winding seems to be coming out to be twice of the half rectifier. And the average value is calculated by just taking these average values of these two, which comes out to be 0.693. Okay, so transformer utilization factor has improved greatly. For the half wave rectifier, it was 0.287, and as compared to this, we are now having 0.693. The voltage regulation can also be found. By definition, we have seen the percentage regulation to be defined as no load minus full load divided by full load value multiplied by 100. So no load value is given by 2 ESM upon pi. ESM is nothing but we can deem this as VM, okay, peak value of the voltage, and VDC is equal to IDC into RL. if there is no other voltage loss in the circuit. So we can substitute these values into this equation and find out the percentage regulation. These are just repetition values, okay? The peak value of the current, peak value of the voltage, okay, IDC. So these are just repetition of the values. After substitution, we can get the percentage regulation to be given by RF plus RS upon RL into 100. If we neglect the secondary transformer resistance RS, then it is just RF upon RL into 100. Okay, so regulation depends on the diode and load resistance values. So what we can see here that RF should be as small as possible. Okay, it is not a large value. It is a small value. So if RF is 0, then percentage regulation will become 0. Okay. So ideally we should have percentage regulations to be equal to 0. Now let us quickly try to look at the second full rectifier, which is using the bridge arrangement. Okay, so in this bridge arrangement we have the 4 diodes connected in a, what happened, this circuit didn't appear. Okay, so there are 4 diodes connected in a bridge arrangement. Okay, so the bridge arrangement is like this here. Load resistance is connected between 2 nodes here of this bridge, and from the rest of the 2 nodes, the diodes are connected like this here. The diodes, I don't know whether how they are writing here, D1, D2, D3, D4. Let us write like something like this here. I thought that circuit will be there, but it is not there anyway. Okay, so this kind of arrangement of the bridge is there. Okay, having the diodes D1, D2, D3, D4, and the voltage is supplied maybe directly or through the transformer here. So this transformer is similar transformer as we have already used in the half rectifier. Okay, so this is the similar transformer. So only the thing is that we are used in place of this center trap transformer, we are using simple transformer, step down transformer here, and we are using, but we have to use now 4 diodes instead of 2 diodes. along with the load resistance RL. So the working of flow rectifier is just narrated over here, that for the first positive half cycle, we have say positive voltage and negative voltage like this here. No, there is some mistake, I think. This diode should be having this orientation. And this should also have okay. I think this side, this kind of polarity this diode should have. Okay, why this happened? Because when we apply positive voltage on this side, positive voltage will come here, and positive voltage on the P side will make the diode D2 on here, whereas this D1 will become off here because this has to be off. Okay, one diode has to be on, then other diode has to be off. Okay, like this. So this D2 will on, and the current will flow through this like this here, which will pass through this load resistance and come here at and D4 here. Now let us see here that there is some positive voltage coming here on this node, but the potential here on this side is greater than this side. Okay, because this is coming through load resistance RL, so there is a potential drop across load resistance RL. Okay, so this potential here is going to be lower as compared to say location A here and location B. So at location A, potential will be higher as compared to the location B. So it is going to be reverse biased. Okay, so D1 is reverse biased, D2 is on. If we look at D4, then this is going to be on, whereas if we look at D3, this is having this polarity, so this will also be off. Okay, so in this here D1 and D3 is off, and D2 and D4 is going to be on. Okay, and the current is going to flow in this direction. Whereas for the negative half cycle, the reverse happens. D3, as in our picture here, D3 and D1. These are going to be on, whereas D2, okay, this D2 is going to be off, and this D4 is also going to be off. Okay, the regions must be clear here. Why D2 and D4 are off, and why D1 and D3 are on. Okay, so D1 and D3 are on here with the same arguments here, and the current flows like this here through D3, goes through load resistance R here, and then D1. what we can see is that the voltage drop across load resistance R is in the same polarity during for the both halves here. Okay, so for the first half, the output voltage was in this polarity. In the second half, also the output voltage polarity is in the same direction. It is not changing. The variation we can see because the input voltage is changing, the magnitude of the input voltage is changing, and so the output voltage. In the discussion here, we can say that as soon as a small voltage, positive voltage, okay, greater than 0 is applied, the diodes becomes on. Okay, so it means the in the consideration the diodes are assumed to be ideal one. Okay, so the diodes are ideal without any cutoff voltage. Okay, so cutoff potential is assumed to be 0 here. Okay, so in this animation we can see that during positive half and negative half of the currents are flowing. So direction of the, it is not the direction of the current, okay, but it is the direction of the electron flow. We can just, and the current flow is in the just opposite direction. For better understanding, we can look at another animation here and see what happens. So for here the difference is that the load is just taken out here, okay, in place instead of putting it here in between, it is just placed outside here, but the current is flowing in this direction. Okay, so the current is going to flow in this direction like this here in one case. In another case, the current is flowing through this here. Okay. So again, we can find out the different parameter values as we have computed so far for the half rectifier and for the full rectifiers, center tap flow rectifiers. So only the difference here is that in the on path there are two diodes coming, okay, through load resistance RL. And if we also assume the non-ideal diodes, then the resistance RF can also be taken along with the resistance RS here, that are the secondary transformer, and the load resistance RL. Okay, so in general, we can see that there are total of RS plus 2 RF plus RL resistance in the loop, and the peak value is of the current is the ESM here. So current, the peak value of the current will be ESM upon this total resistance value, RS plus 2RF plus RL. So once we know the values, these peak values of the IM and current here, we can compute the DC current and RMS currents. Okay. So only we need to replace this IM by these values here. Okay. So IM is ESM upon the value here, which the total resistance in the loop. This can also be obtained by using the KVL in this loop. Okay, this is nothing but the use of KVL in that loop. So other values also one can compute. The DC voltage, load DC voltage, output DC voltage can be computed by multiplying the DC current with the load resistance. The DC power dissipation can be now computed by ID I square RL. Okay, just substitute the values. The AC input power is I square into total resistance on the circuit, IRMS now. Okay, so the values can be substituted directly here, and the efficiency, okay, can be found by PDC upon PAC, which is 81%, 81.2%. Okay, the repeal factor also one can compute and find this value to be 0.48. Okay, so another thing is the peak inverse voltage for this bridge full wave rectifier. So in this here, we have two diodes which are off here. We can try to see the voltage appearing any of these reverse bias diodes. Okay. So the equivalent circuit is shown here. So we can actually choose any of the loops here, including the reverse bias diode. Okay. So the PIB for the bridge wave rectifier is this one. This is full wave rectifier. Both are full wave rectifier, but this is bridge rectifier, and this is actually the center tap. So one side it is center tap, and another side it is bridge rectifier. Okay. So for the center tap transformer, already we have computed that the PIB is 2 Vm, whereas if we look at this bridge rectifier, then the PIB is just Vm. We can stop here because the time is over here. Another question is here for you to look at what happens if input and output terminals are reversed. So in the bridge rectifier here, bridge arrangement, one is just reversing the input and output terminals. Means what? There was a load connected between two nodes, and there were two nodes across which the input was connected. Okay, the secondary transformer was connected. So now one wants to reverse this location. Reverse means one is now trying to put the load here and the input to be given across this. So you have to think what happens. With this, we will stop here. Okay, so thank you all.
Thank